Welcome back to Paperback Ponderings, and today we have a much anticipated episode by both of us and maybe some of you guys as well. We are going to be talking about Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, the second book in the Red Rising series. So if you have not read Red Rising and also Golden Sun, you might not want to listen to this one. We are not going to have a spoiler-free section today. We are just going to dive right into the juicy bits because we have a lot to say. And Sarah just finished this one. I'm like a week or two into my finishing and processing, but Sarah's hot off the press. So let's get into it. How are you feeling, Sarah?
I feel like I haven't had an ending. Okay, this book is like the last 100 pages of Crescent City, but if it was the whole book.
Yes, I totally agree with you. That is a great analogy.
Like, oh my God. I feel like there was some slow bits in the beginning and it was still good in the beginning. Like there was some good stuff in the beginning. I did not expect to start this book like 2 years past when they had finished at the Institute.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock.
That was a surprise to me. So I felt like in the beginning of this book, I was kind of just like reconceptualizing and like catching up with my idea of where the characters might be. And then there was like a little bit of a lull. There was a little bit of a moment where I was like, ooh, Darrow, we're not looking good.
Yeah.
And then it was 20% on the dot. It started and it didn't stop.
It was like
never experienced something like that.
Yeah, same. Like for a book to hold a pace like that for the entire book, it's not like it was the longest book in the world, but yeah, we talked a few days ago because you sped read this book, and you were kind of right in the lull, but you told me you were right at the point where Darrow meets with the jackal, and I was like, it is beginning now. Like you are on the precipice.
Yeah, and that was what made me pick it up again, because I, as you know, have been trying to finish a different book for the podcast, and I was like, should I pivot away from Golden Sun for a bit? Like, it's kind of like not really exciting right now. Maybe I can like put it on the burner, like the back burner, pivot to the other book, come back to it next week. And you were like, no, you have to keep going. And I was like, oh my God, I have to keep going.
Yeah. And you kind of expect, like, when the action starts with when he's meeting with the jackal and the explosion happens and stuff, you expect another like lull. You expect it to get high and then go low and then get high again. But no, it's just like on an upward climb.
The whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. I
did not expect, like, I think one thing that Pierce Brown does like really well in these books is he balances beautifully between like just enough information that you know Darrow has something up his sleeve, but not so much information that the thrill of the surprise is ruined. Like for the most part, some things are predictable, but for the most part, you kind of kept on the edge of your seat very well. Because you know action is happening. Darrow is making Darrow plans, but it's almost unexpected. Kind of like Aelin. I feel like Darrow's kind of like Aelin in that regard, where it's like, I know you're cooking up something like totally unknown, and it's going to be brilliant, and it's going to be so left field and amazing that I don't even know. Like, I can't even predict what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I did not expect for Darrow to go into the gala and then challenge Cassius. I was like, no. Oh, we're here. We're here already. Okay.
Yeah. And the way he did it, like just jumping up on the table and making such a dramatic statement, walking all the way across everybody's food and then kicking the wine into Cassius's lap. And then, yeah, that whole scene was crazy. And I totally agree with you about the Aelin comparison, because like both of them are just kind of like masterminds in their own way. They're just kind of geniuses a little bit on another level beyond the average Joe. And so you really never know what they're cooking. And yes, so that the planning aspect reminded me of Aelin, but I also wanted to mention, I know you haven't read Dungeon Crawler Carl, but for anybody who is listening who has read it, Darrow reminds me a little bit of Carl in the fact that like both of them are just willing to shoot their shot in an incredibly risky plan, all the time. Like they're always just like
constantly.
they are like going to get into the cannon and fire themselves out of it kind of thing. Like that is the energy from both characters.
Literally in the case of Darrow.
Yes, literally.
Yeah. I found it interesting. Did you ever at any point think that he was going to use the like Pegasus charm bomb? Maybe not to blow up the whole gala, but like I thought that it would become like an instrument that he uses in some creative capacity. So I was surprised when he didn't use it. But I was curious, like, did you at any point think he might actually blow up the gala?
Okay, well, when we found out the reveal about Io being pregnant, that changed things a little bit. I was like, oh, I feel like Darrow could be kind of tipped over the edge at this point where he would do something incredibly reckless like that. But in terms of the plot of the overarching story, I didn't expect an explosion. Like it didn't feel like a realistic plot development for an explosion to go off and kill everybody. So I didn't really seriously think so.
I thought that he was going to use it when they were trying to rescue Augustus from the coup that was happening
right
on Luna. Like I thought that maybe like it would come back into play. I don't know why I'm so fixated on this, but I felt like it was like relevant enough for me to be like, what? He's going to use this, but not the way that they thought he was going to use this, you know?
I mean, he might still use it in the next book. I actually kept thinking throughout, because he's wearing this Pegasus like on his, he's got a bomb just chilling on his body at all times, which would make me very nervous. But also, so we know that the key word to make it go off is break the chains, is what he has to say. And there was one point where he's talking to Ragnar and he's like, oh yeah, blah, 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 you have to break the chains and blah, blah, blah. And he like says the words. And I was like, is the bomb just going to go off at this point? But it didn't. So I don't know if that was an oversight or if maybe he has to like, you know, be right up close or something.
I think he has to say the words into his ring. Like that's what it is. Because there's a ring that's kind of like connected to the necklace. So he leaves the necklace and then the ring is the like detonator.
Okay. I see.
Maybe the keyword break the chains, but I think there's like a 3 kind of components to it.
That makes a little more sense. It's a little more secure that way.
Yeah, just accidentally blows himself up.
I know. I was like, oh my God.
That would be so funny.
I was kind of waiting for it to happen throughout the whole book, but I'm glad it didn't.
I loved the moment because like for the first half of the book, you're really kind of like unsure about where Mustang sits, especially with her relationship with the Sovereign.
Yes,
like Octavia, and you're kind of like, what? I'm not sure. Like, I really don't know how much I believe Mustang is like ready to just like turn her back on her family. But we also missed 2 years of Mustang. So I was like, what could have gone wrong that like she's willing to not only not be with Darrow, but betray her brother and her father?
Yeah,
I loved the game that he played with the Sovereign, with the Pit Viper Scorpion hybrid thing.
Yeah,
I was like, this is amazing. I'm obsessed with like that scene was so well written and so like captivating, and to have that right on the tail end of the Cassius confrontation and the gala, and like all these other, and then being captured and funneled back, and Fitchner, I'm like spiraling
so much.
But there was so much going on in that like 100-page kind of, well, honestly in the whole book.
In the
like,
whole book.
Yeah,
the scene, the Pit Viper game with Octavia reminded me of Dune a little bit in the whole Gom Jabbar thing. It was giving that, but yeah, it was such a quick rapid fire questions. Like they're both so on it with what they were going to ask. And Cassius, like just the duel, so I guess it takes a little bit of the impact out knowing that in this society they can just throw a new arm on a body, but it was a pretty crazy epic moment when it was like the line was like, I flicked my wrist and claimed the sword arm of Cassius Bologna, and I was like
yeah. I really thought he might go for the kill. I was a little bit like, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? But I think, like, I'm not fully convinced that Cassius is the real enemy.
No.
Like, he doesn't give evil the way that, like, Titus gave evil.
No, I think Cassius, he's just butthurt and pride hurt and it's just like gotten out of control. But he said something at some point at the very end of Golden Sun. He was like, killing Julian was one thing, but I forget what it was, but like blah 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 was another. And Darrow's like, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yes.
So
yes.
Very intrigued to see what that is. And I'm still kind of holding out hope. Like I don't know how it would happen at this point, but I'm holding out hope that the bromance will be revived at some point and Cassius won't just descend into villainy.
Yes, I agree. And there are things that I know of Morningstar that makes me hard to comment anymore.
Okay. Okay, so we will move on from that.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that they can repair. I haven't read anything about this in Morningstar, but I do think that they're not so far as to be incapable of repairing whatever broke between them, because now they're kind of even. Like, Cassius is not innocent in this.
No.
He left Darrow to die at the Institute, and he would have if it wasn't for Mustang.
Yeah.
Now Darrow took his arm. An eye for an eye.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I just feel like, who knows? Who knows? Especially in this world where alliances shift at the flick of a dime.
Be with the wind. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
They are so all over the place. It's almost not even funny. I just I don't know.
The only person we can truly count on is Severo, I feel like.
Yes. Severo, flipping sides would be absolutely destroying. And I don't think he ever would. I think as well, I trust Mustang.
Yes, I think so too. We're left open-ended at the end of the book, but when she's confronted with the truth about Darrow being a Red, I think she just needs time to process and be angry and think. But I think in the end, she's going to come for him. She's going to be on his side.
I think so too. I also think she's not just processing that he's a Red and dealing with the betrayal of the fact that he lied about being a Gold, but she's also processing the fact that they have a different relationship. It's not like they're friends, they have a very deep bond. And I also think she's kind of processing the fact that how could he love me truly when my father killed his wife? Mm-hmm. How could we be together actually when he has every reason in the world to hate me, and I don't even blame him?
Yeah.
Because I resonate with his wife. She had brought up EO without him even saying anything. She seems very fascinated by EO in the first book. And I don't know. I think she's politically very intelligent, so she understands, it's less about a class thing. It's not I hate you because you're Red.
Yeah.
It's I'm hurt because you didn't tell me, and I don't now believe that you could truly love me.
Yes.
Different.
Yes. Different. Also, I think part of it is that if she accepts Darrow's mission and joins him, knowing that the end goal is to destroy the society as she knows it and as she grew up within it, and possibly a lot of people that she knows and loves, that's a huge decision as well to come to terms with.
Absolutely. Especially if before we got to the end of this book, we were kind of looking at Darrow wanting to overthrow her father. Darrow being the snake in the grass to her father, and her having to pick between loyalty to her family, not just Gold and the society she grew up in and the world that she knows, but literally just her father, and knowing that Darrow could not possibly accept Augustus, could not truly be part of the family that murdered his wife. She always knew that it would end with one of them dying.
Yeah, and because the fact that she is loyal to him still, despite everything, that makes it tough. Mm-hmm. Although now things have been made easier by the ending and his death.
Oh my goodness gracious. I did not expect, I had a weird, it was almost kind of bizarre the way that I felt something when Augustus died. Mm-hmm. I was oh shit, I mean, I don't like this guy, but to go out like that.
Yeah. And Augustus is interesting because, like, I feel like he really did take a back burner to Darrow in this book. Like, Darrow was leading the charge on all fronts and Augustus was just being hailed.
Yeah.
But he was an interesting character. The conversation that he had with Darrow when he explains that his whole goal is the betterment of humanity and the furthering of society and technology and advancing everything. And you kind of understand that he's not this evil person. He's just morally kind of conflicted because he has this vision that he sees as more important than everything else. Mm-hmm. And he believes that he is doing the right thing by following that vision and doing the things that he does. So I think I appreciated the complexity of his character through that moment.
Yeah, and then also seeing him open up to the idea that Darrow could be his heir and that through Augustus, Darrow could actually change things in a substantial and longitudinal way versus having... And he had all these resources through Augustus. Like, there were pros to being a part of Augustus's household. That ultimately contributed to what Darrow was working towards. So then to have that like ripped away at the same time as Lauren dying, I saw an interview with Pierce Brown on a podcast and they went on in on him about Lauren dying.
Oh, really? What did he say?
Well, more so they were like, out of all the people you killed in this book, because you killed a lot,
Yep.
who was the hardest to kill? Who was like the most gutting to kill? Who did you not want to kill or question killing?
And it was Lauren.
He said it was Lauren. He was like, I struggled to kill Lauren.
Okay, first of all, do you know how he kills his characters or how he decides who to kill?
Yeah, I saw somewhere that he just like does a dice or like
picks it out of a
a hat.
Which I think is really cool because it really does mimic the realities of war and how people would die. It's not going to be plot strategic all the time. Sometimes it's going to throw a wrench in everything, which I think is cool. But yeah, Lauren, you feel bad for Lauren the whole time because he's really just trying to retire with his grandkids and he doesn't want that life anymore. And like, you can see that even though he did cause a lot of mayhem and a lot of violence and stuff in his youth, he has come to realize in his old age that it shouldn't have been like that, or if he could go back, he maybe wouldn't do it that way again. So it was hard to see Darrow betray him and force him into it, but then to see him be killed so brutally in front of his grandkids.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't just like we heard that Lauren died in that final Iron Rain on Mars. Like, we saw it, and it was just like such a shitty, unheroic death. Like, it wasn't in battle. It wasn't to save anyone. It wasn't for a purpose. His guard was down, and he was just enjoying himself at a party he didn't even want to be at. Like, bro.
Yeah, he fully tried to leave like 10 minutes before that, and Darrow was like, no, stay.
Yeah, here's your drink. Stick around.
God, if he had left, then he could have been spared.
I know. And like the fact that, yeah, they had that betrayal. I thought, and they had that moment before the Iron Rain where you were kind of like, okay, I'm open to the idea that Lauren might die. You know, like you expected it. They had that kind of reconciliation moment where Darrow was like, I didn't want to do this. I didn't want this to be the reality. I'm sorry. You know, like I think like they had that nice moment where he recognized that he was kind of a shithead and like pulling Lauren into all this and his family. And so you were kind of like, okay, maybe Lauren might die. And then he survived. Yeah. And then he died.
Yeah. Poor Lauren.
Absolutely destroying. I was like, no, not Lauren. Not Fitchner and Lauren.
Fitchner too. Okay, let's talk about Fitchner. Did you expect that he was Ares at all?
I definitely did not expect him to be the Ares, but I expected that he was involved with Ares in some capacity. Or like part of some sort of rebellion. Like I never thought that he was loyal to the sovereign, but I certainly didn't think that he was the Ares.
Yeah, he was always a bit of a question mark. Like he did seem to defy people a lot. And finding out that he was Aries made me look back at everything and try and remember all the original interactions between Fitchner and Darrow in the first book. And like when Fitchner gives him the communication from, he says like, your friends are still with you kind of thing. And like just knowing that he was Aries the whole time is so interesting. I, of course, like considered both Fitchner and Severo as Reds or as part of the revolution in some capacity because they are so different from the other Golds. Like they're described as physically appearing different and more rugged and not as beautiful as the other Golds. And then they're gruffer in personality too, and they're swearing and they're just, you know, not light company. So yeah, I had considered that Severo might be a red plant like Darrow and Titus, but I was like, if they would have made him gold, then they wouldn't have made him on the bottom edge of gold. They would have made him blend in more. But then I thought, you know how they said with the procedure to turn a red into a gold, like not everybody's body can handle that. So maybe they could only bring them so far and that's all they could get out of them. So I considered that, but yeah, it was a total shock. That was such an epic moment, finding out that Fitchner was Aries.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many big moments that happened in this book. I think like when Darrow finally made it to like in the assault on Mars and trying to intercept the Sovereign and get to the hangar and make it onto the plane with the Sovereign and like 6 Praetorians. It felt so like such a waste that then like Fitchner was on that plane and was like, oh, you fucked it all up. Like, hello, he's done the impossible before. Why didn't you tell him?
Yeah.
So that he didn't F it up. Because he could have died trying to get on that plane. Like, he's a motivated man. He makes shit happen. And so, like, why didn't they say something? He could have focused on something else. I don't know, like saving people or killing as many people as he could on the ground. Like, I was kind of like, that was a poor plan on Fitchner's part to not tell Darrow. And I guess he wasn't operating as a red, like he wasn't operating as part of Aries during this mission. So Aries wouldn't have had like the full extent of the plan for taking back Mars. But I'm sure they could deduce that it would be a priority for them to get the Sovereign.
Yes.
So he should have somehow communicated to Darrow, hey, don't worry about the Sovereign, bro. I got it.
It's handled. Even if he didn't reveal who he was, he could have sent a message anonymously as Aries and been like, don't worry about the Sovereign. It's handled.
Also, he had like access to Severo. At that point, Severo did know that Darrow was a red.
Right.
So just get a message to him through Severo and you don't have to waste all these opportunities and all this time.
Yeah, totally agreed. And now he's a head in a box. That was a huge shock.
I knew it was something. I was like, it's Mustang or it's someone else. I had a moment where I thought it might be Mustang because she wasn't at the party.
Oh, that would have been insane. I didn't think it was going to be Mustang. I just didn't know. I had no ideas. Nothing went into my brain. I just was along for the ride. And
I was totally like, there's a head in the box. Or hand or something. I don't know, there's a body part in the box.
And it's like sad that Severo left. It's good that Severo left like 10 minutes before in search of his father, but also very sad that he went in search of him and that was his fate. And that he was always kind of conflicted, like when they thought that Fitchner was on the side of the Sovereign and Darrow was like, have you thought about what you're going to do if you see your father on the ground? And Severo was like, no, I haven't thought about it yet.
He's like, cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole backstory of Fitchner was really interesting, and how he fell in love with a red and they killed her, and the fact that Severo is half red and just had no idea.
Yeah. I have questions about this because I was like, is he actually half red though, because she had her body like modified to have like gold fallopian tubes? Like it at that point, from a genetic standpoint, like he's not half red, he's full gold, with like his mom being like a surrogate. You know what I mean? For like the genetics of a gold.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe,
I mean, he's still half red, but like you know, from a genetic standpoint. I was like,
yeah, genetically, maybe they just, when they said he's half red, maybe they just meant like in spirit or like in culture kind of. Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering about that because I was thinking about the whole genetic component of it, and like, you know, down the line, if Darrow and Mustang wanted to have a child, like, would they be physically compatible? Is Darrow's insides still genetically red, or like, or
how
has
does that work?
I don't know, but yeah, I was not at all surprised that Severo supported Darrow being a red, even before he found out that he came from red roots himself. I was not surprised that he accepted him. What I was surprised about was that Roke didn't.
Yes. Okay, so I have opinions about Roke that have nothing to do with Roke and everything to do with Pierce Brown.
Oh, okay. Let's hear them.
Well, I just think that like this whole concept, I know that he turned on him for a different reason than Tactus turned on him.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of betraying your friend because you're either like jealous or he's leaving him out, like, would it be different? Would Roke still have betrayed Darrow if Darrow had behaved differently towards Roke? Because part of the reason why Tactus was upset is like he was never on the in with Darrow. Mm-hmm. Often Darrow would make plans, be the puppeteer, and they would find little pieces of information out along the way, and it corroded the trust between Tactus and Darrow.
Yeah.
And so to see him do the same thing with Roke, slightly different because it's caste motivated, right? Like red, gold, and whatever. So it's not quite like I'm jealous of you. It's more like you don't belong here. But I think underlying that you don't belong here is a wound of you continuously kept me in the dark. You continuously betrayed my trust in you. Because Roke didn't strike me as a classist person.
No, especially because he was so philosophical and romantic. Yeah. He really seemed like the type of person who would accept Darrow being a red. But I think it kind of, it's like the beginning of their problems was Darrow knocking Roke out in the effort to save him. But like Roke doesn't know that, obviously, and just thinks that he's keeping him out of his plans and didn't trust him.
Well, he does say like it was to save you because I knew what I was going to do and realized that you might get brought into it.
But Roke doesn't know that Darrow intended, like Darrow thought he was saving him from a bomb that would surely kill him, and Roke only thinks that Darrow was saving him from a duel that Roke just couldn't hold his own in, kind of thing.
I thought that like he had positioned himself as knowing that the Sovereign was going to like that the coup was going to happen during the dinner. Because he even like verified with the Sovereign, like, you know, the Pit Viper game. Yeah. So my understanding was like in the Pit Viper game, he realized that, or he had had an idea that the Sovereign was going to launch the coup mid-dinner and kill Augustus. So I thought that Darrow kind of pivoted his reason for drugging Roke as I wanted to save you from the coup that could have turned bloody and deadly.
Right. I think you are right. There's just so many things that happened at the gala that I was like, oh my God, so focused on the duel. But yeah, okay, you might be right.
So like in that regard, he was still positioning the betrayal as an effort to save him.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that is more understandable, but maybe because I know Roke made a comment to him after Darrow did the rescue of House Augustus and the whole thing that happened with Quinn. And Roke said something like, I'm still mad at you, but like I understand, or something that made it sound like he understands that he was not in on the plan or something. But then the Quinn thing, and do you think he blames Darrow for Quinn's death?
I think he does, but I also think more so than that was the moment when they were doing the Iron Rain and Darrow was on foot trying to get into Aegea, and Roke is panicked because he's handling all of the like, you know, flight stuff. And he's like, Darrow, like he's like panic. And then he's like, the Sovereign's there. And Darrow was like, I know. And it's like, So you just put him through this emotional turbulence for no reason. And same thing with letting Aja get away. Like, I feel like there were 1,000 small betrayals that Darrow did to Roke that were necessary to the plot. But if he trusted Roke enough, then he could have bought his loyalty a bit more. I think like that like lack of transparency over time just corroded Roke's like loyalties to Darrow. And I think that more so than the fact that Darrow was a red is why Roke did what he did.
I think you're right. Just a bunch of needles on the haystack. Like, it was like Roke's feelings were hurt once in the beginning, but then they kept getting hurt again before he could get over that and repair the situation. And it just spiraled out of control until the trust was just totally gone. I thought, okay, so there was a moment before Darrow left the ship, like for the Iron Rain, when Roke and Darrow have a little sentimental moment, and I thought that it was setting it up for Roke to die. But one of my friends that I was book clubbing it with, she commented in our Fable group after that chapter, like, oh, I think Roke's gonna betray him. So then the whole time the Iron Rain was happening, Darrow made a comment at one point like, oh, everything's in place as long as Roke handles it, like his part up in the air. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's totally not going to handle it. So, but then by the time all of that ended and Roke hadn't done anything, I thought we were in the clear. So that's why it took me by surprise at the end a little bit.
Yeah, it took me by surprise that he would go so far as to switch teams, I guess. But it didn't really surprise me. I think that the relationship was breaking down and Darrow did not invest enough. I also wonder how that information would have hit Roke had he found out from Darrow himself.
Yes.
Like if Darrow had been the one to say, I'm a red. I think that information would have been received differently. I don't know, but I don't like because it's kind of similar enough to the trajectory of the relationship with Tactus that I'm just like,
I don't know though, because I have, even outside of this, I was kind of noticing that Darrow has a habit of kind of using people. Like his friends that he surrounds himself with, he talks about them frequently in terms of their loyalty to him. Rather than friendship or love. He makes comments a lot that is like, oh, he's loyal. And then it almost makes it seem like he has recruited all these people and he sees them more as tools. And so I was noticing that outside of the Roke thing. And so I think it makes sense that a similar type of trajectory happened with both Tactus and Roke, because he was treating them both like that, and he treats other people like that too.
I think that this is another aspect of like that like learning moment for Darrow in terms of like how he leads and what's effective in leadership, I suppose. It's like a larger scale of what he encountered with Titus and what he encountered with Cassius in the Institute.
Yes, I think you're totally right. But even that, it's like, you know, if Darrow looks at it as a lesson, like this is a lesson learned in how to lead and how to treat people, it's still almost like he's applying it as it's not like he might change the way he treats them because he feels bad about treating his friends that way and he knows that's not how you treat a friend, but it's more so from a place of like, I will lose their loyalty if I don't change. Maybe not.
Maybe. I think he had a hard time, like, because they were kind of tools, right? Whereas now I think he's reminded of the fact that like he can have relationships and friendships. He can kind of recognize like he fucked up big time. What he was doing before is no longer going to work, and he's kind of humbled by this experience. Like,
right.
It is literally like at the Institute where he realizes his mistakes. He is totally brought down to ground zero and then has to figure out a way to be better next time. It's like he's captured. That's not a spoiler.
No, it's not a spoiler.
Like, his plans got thwarted pretty big, and he's surrounded by the enemy.
Yeah, so he's got to figure out a new way around it, and I'm wondering, like, is he going to get out of it on his own? Are Severo and Mustang and Ragnar are going to come for him. How is Victra doing? I'm also wondering that. She was left very open-ended. You know, I think I did, honestly. I saw something about a later book, so I think she's alive. But, like, I was still stressed for our girl, and I felt for her in the moment when she was, like, crawling towards Darrow. And she's like, Darrow, I swear I didn't know. And, like, this girl has been loyal the whole time, and everybody's been doubting her.
Like, questioning her and challenging her and doubting her.
But she's just, like, actually loyal, and, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was painful watching that happen, especially Antonia. Fuck Antonia.
Oh, fuck Antonia. Yeah. One thing about the ending that I am curious about, because, and maybe you already know because you're already into Morningstar, but the Jackal made a comment about how Darrow gave himself away when Darrow visited the Jackal's house that he claimed after the Iron Rain. And I'm wondering about that because I'm wondering if he figured it out because he figured out that Darrow was linked to the escape of the rebellion people, or we saw Darrow give them both gifts and we never saw what he gave to the Jackal because they were interrupted. And so I'm wondering if what he gave as a gift was somehow a giveaway.
Ooh, that's a good call out. I know the answer.
Oh, okay.
So I can't comment.
Okay. Okay. Well, putting it out there.
It's a good call out. I also would love to know, like, how Roke came to be in league with Adrius, like the Jackal, and like, how did that happen? How did that come to be?
Yeah, we knew Darrow was playing with fire by allying himself with the Jackal the whole time. Like, the Jackal is a snake in the grass.
Yeah, and he thought he was outplaying him, but
no, he was being too trusting of his alliance with the Jackal for sure.
And too trusting of himself. Like, if he thinks he's the smartest person in the room, he's not going to question other folks.
Think again, Darrow. There was a distinct lack of Cassius's presence in book 2, though, and so I am hoping for more of Cassius in book 3.
That's going to be hard.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm only 100 pages in, but they're still technically on separate sides of a war.
Yeah, well, somehow. On a different note, a bit of a subject change, I wanted to bring up, so Darrow visits his mom, and there are 2 occasions when Darrow is just himself thinking about Io, and he has a thought where he's like, you know, Io wasn't actually perfect. She was kind of a little bit like this, and she was kind of like that. And I appreciated that because up until this point, he's been idolizing her completely as this hero, as this martyr girl, and then Darrow's mom makes a comment to Darrow that Io was manipulative, even though she loved her, that she was manipulative as a person. Yeah. And I also really appreciated that because I totally agree. Io was manipulative, and doing what she did, killing herself and their baby to force Darrow into a fight that he didn't want to have was manipulative as shit, and it was selfish.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if it was for a good cause, like for the right reasons in the long run.
Well, but also she had no idea that he was going to become a gold and infiltrate the golds. Like, she wouldn't have been able to guess at what he chooses to do after that. She's just like, oh, people follow you. It's like, all right, but I still have a society of oppressed reds and no manpower, even if you didn't think I would turn into a gold and go to these lengths.
Yeah, she didn't
she didn't have any idea about that.
Yeah, she knew nothing. She didn't even know that the surface was habitable, did she? Like,
yeah, I don't think she had a whole ton of understanding about what the world was outside of the mines.
No, it was such a gamble. And I think we talked about this in the first episode, and the fact that Darrow was content with his life. Like, it might have been a hard life, but he was content with that life, and all he wanted to do was love his wife, have a family, and dance with the people he loved and make the most of his life. And she took that away from him. She knew that she was pregnant, and she chose to do what she did and deprive Darrow of that. If she still really wanted to do that, she could have had the baby and given Darrow his child and then done it later.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
understand, like, if she didn't want to have the baby in the world that currently existed. Like, I could see her kind of thinking, like, is this a world we want to have a family in? Because as soon as he has a baby, the world has leverage over him.
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah.
And so maybe, like, she knew that he wouldn't reach his full potential if they continued life as they were. Either way, such a shitty thing to do. Also, I totally knew that she was pregnant the whole time. Yeah, I was like, she's pregnant. Like, the second she calls over Dio instead of him, I was like, she's pregnant. She's, I don't know, saying something to Dio like, don't tell him, or tell him when he's ready, or
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I was like, this girl's pregnant.
I didn't think about it too much. I just, didn't really consider what she had said, but...
Well, she wanted to tell him something before they, like, had hooked up, before they made love in the garden, and then were discovered, under the stars for the first time ever. Before they had done that, like, it seemed like she wanted to tell him something and then didn't, and I was like, this girl pregnant.
Right.
And then she called up the sister, and I was like, she extra pregnant.
The signs were there for those who were looking for them.
Yeah, but I don't think necessarily that, like, I expected, I guess, anything different from her. It is nice to have her not be, like, idolized or put on the pedestal the way that she had been.
Yeah.
But also, like, regardless of her flaws, he loved her, you know, deeply.
Yes, which counts for something. But I think there was...
It matters.
It does matter. But he was definitely holding himself back in his relationship with Mustang because of his feelings of guilt and devotion to Io and her memory. And so I think this is what he needed to be able to move on, is to come back to this place and humanize her a little bit and recognize those things.
How much did you love, like, I kind of liked Victra being interested in Darrow a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I liked the flirtation that they had. And I also liked to see another side of Darrow, because, like, Victra was, like, so, like, coming on so hard kind of thing. Like, it was nice to see a side of Darrow that wasn't, like, so serious and so proper all the time. I was surprised to see him do the reintroduction and be like, tell me something I don't know about you. You know what it just felt like it lightened him a little bit in a way that you don't get with Mustang. Because with Mustang, like, they're both on a level in a whole other world than everyone else. I feel like Victra kind of humanized him a little bit.
Yes, and the fact that he remembered that fact about her, about the, like, her favorite scent or whatever it was when he gave her the gift later, because I think it humanized Darrow, but it also gave us a little bit more to know and love about Victra herself, because one thing that we have talked about is that Pierce Brown has a bit of a tendency to not develop characters fully. Like, there's a lot of side characters who we know nothing about, and I think that comes through as well in this book with the Howlers. And we lost several Howlers in this book over the course of the Iron Reign and stuff, and didn't know them very well, don't even really remember their names, like... And they were pretty important to Severo. They were around for a lot of the books, so I feel like there should have been more about them. But yes, so having Darrow have that softer and more, like, chill conversation with Victra that wasn't just a plot advancement conversation was a step in the right direction. And I think that's why I have come to care for Victra.
Yeah, and the way that she continues to show up. I think as well her mom died, right? Like, Antonio killed her mom in that final scene.
Oh, did she?
I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure, like, Antonia killed the mom and, like, took over the Julie fortune kind of thing.
Okay. So the mom really, like, she did betray Augustus at one point, but she was genuine in coming back.
Oh, yeah. Because her betrayal of... Wait, who was genuine in coming back? What are you talking about?
Victra's mom.
What about her?
Because she betrayed Augustus at one point.
But she did the double cross.
Yes, but she betrayed him on Luna when House Augustus was attacked, but then later she did the double cross. But only because Victra talked to her. And Victra and I think the Telemanuses maybe talked to her.
Yeah, and got her back on their side for the Iron Reign. So they're like flipping on the Sovereign in the middle of their fleet, like caused the chaos that Rogue needed to win the air battle for Mars. So they were like back on Augustus's side.
But part of me, and I think part of like a lot of the Augustus people, were not fully trusting of them.
I don't think I was trusting of Antonia, but I trusted Victra and her mom, because I think Victra had a good relationship with her mom in the same way that Antonia didn't, because Antonia hated Victra because she was jealous, because Victra had a good relationship with their mom.
Okay.
And she was older, I think. But my understanding was Antonia was jealous of Victra and therefore wanted to covet Victra's possessions, aka
Right.
the family fortune.
Yeah. I never trusted Antonia. I always trusted Victra. And it was just the mom who was a question mark, because I didn't know like if she was willing to betray the Augustus group for the money and the whatever perks. I was like, is she really, even though she came back at Victra's behest, I was kind of like, we'll see. Like, I'll take it, but we'll see. But
yeah, she's flip-flopping like a fish out of water, that one.
Yes. Yeah.
She's dead anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter.
I do wonder what's going to happen. Well, maybe not now, because the whole time Darrow is playing this game where he's befriending the Telemanuses who hate the Jackal, but Darrow is on the down low allying with the Jackal. And so I was like, what is going to happen when the Telemanuses find out, kind of thing. But maybe that won't happen anymore now that the Jackal has betrayed Darrow.
Yeah.
You can't say anything.
Because I know, okay, so for context, Morningstar opens up literally in the same scene.
Okay.
Or maybe like slightly farther along. But like,
actually, I knew that because the beginning of Morningstar is at the end of my copy of Golden Sun. So it like shows the first page of Morningstar or something, and it's like immediately.
Yeah, it's like right picking up where Golden Sun left off. There ain't no 2-year gap there.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to survive. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I shall see.
I'm super excited. I can't go too deep into it, but I do think that there's a lot of work to be done. So thank God there's actually 4 more books. I'm very intrigued with how, my goodness, what is his name? The heir to the Sovereign.
Oh, I wanted to talk about Lysander.
He's going to become important, I think. Like,
yes.
I know that there's some like jumps that happen later on, like time jumps that happen farther in the series, and I do know from like fan art that like Lysander is like a part of the plot further along in the series. But I found it really interesting that like Lysander was very calm through the whole like abduction thing, and then he wanted to stop. He said Aja no when Aja went to go punch Quinn. Like he was the one who was like, don't do it. Like he is kind of loyal to, not loyal, but like I think he as a child understands what they're fighting for, even though he's growing up in the sovereign world and the way that society was. I think he can recognize that they're fighting for something powerful and important.
Yes. I know something about I saw somewhat of a spoiler, not really a spoiler, but something that tells me something about Lysander's presence in the later books. So I won't say anything about that, but I think I really liked Lysander in this book because of the way he was super chill at being abducted. And he got there and he's kind of sassing Augustus back. Augustus is like, will you tell them that we treated you well? And he's like, yeah, if you treat me well. Like
he's like, I'm not upset right now.
Yeah, but he also, I think it's more so the fact that he's a kid and he grew up being shown videos of Darrow's time at the Institute by his tutors and stuff. So these are like TV show heroes to him. Like he idolizes Darrow and the group, Darrow and Darrow's friends, because of watching him do this epic battle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think because of watching Darrow complete this epic battle and takeover of Mount Olympus that nobody's ever done before, that he just sees Darrow as this hero. And that's why when he saw Tactus, he's like, whoa, he's taller than I imagined him. And like, he just loves it. He's just kind of happy to be there. But I'm wondering if his understanding, like it's more of just an idolization than like a true belief in the cause kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure, but I think there's like opportunity there. I don't know.
There's definitely like, I think there is good reason to believe he will be a significant part of the second arc of the series. It 100%. Is a 10-year jump between book 3 and 4.
Interesting. I am intrigued. Like, it's so sad to me, the Lorne story.
Oh yeah, because he's his grandpa or something, right?
Yeah, he's his grandson.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, side note, I was like, okay, if Lorne and the Sovereign have the same grandchild, were they married? Like, I was just like, what is the relation? But it's their kids. So their kids were together, and that's why they have the same grandchild.
Oh, right.
Lorne's son was with the Sovereign's daughter.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I also kind of was not paying attention to those details, or I didn't capture them.
Yeah. I was like, are they like lovers who are no longer in contact, or like they were lovers at one point and had kids? Like, I was just like, how does this all relate? Because Lorne worked for the Sovereign and
very closely
the Moon Rebellion. So I was like, what's the background here? I would love a Lorne prequel.
That would be really interesting, actually. Like Lorne as the Rage Knight. Yeah, that's a Pierce Brown. Write it.
But also like finish the series first.
Yes, finish the series first, please. Okay, final thought is related to Darrow's conversation with his mom in the mines, and he tells her his whole quest and plan and mission, and she says like, is that really going to help? Because people are still going to be needed in the mines. A lot of the Reds who, when they find out the truth, they're going to stay here because this is the only life they've ever known. But now they're just going to be upset because their purpose has been taken away. That sense of nobility and doing something for the good of humanity and like being the strength of humanity has been taken away from them now. So now they're just going to be sitting in bitterness and resentment and stuff. And I thought that was an interesting counterpoint to Darrow's whole mission and belief that like he knows what's best for these people.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. I do think that's foreshadowing the reality that we're going to get in the next 4 books. I think it's really foreshadowing the fact that you can believe that you know what's best for society, but change is difficult and it takes time. And sometimes like I feel like the next couple books are going to make us question whether or not the like caste system is good and if having the golds on top is good, because that's part of like the philosophy that they're taught, is that they're on top for a reason, and that without the gold rule society would crumble.
I think that will definitely be a question, because even now I'm thinking about it like, yes, it's horrible that the Reds are left underground and never given a choice and the true knowledge, but at the same time it makes sense that the Golds have fed them this story of nobility and honor, because that makes their lives better. Like they have a purpose. Like it's better that they have that mentality rather than just believing themselves to be slaves. So not that it's right, but it's just there's a lot of exploration about the morals of this whole society. Yeah
I agree. And I think that's literally going to be like the premise of the next couple novels, is like we can break the chains, but were they necessary to a degree?
And what happens when we do? What does that new world even look like?
What kind of chaos can we create without chains?
And I think that Darrow's uncle and cousin are alive. You know how she said that they fell down the mine shaft and nobody found their bodies? They're definitely alive.
I love that she was like, he's a wily guy. I'll believe it when I see the body.
I like Darrow's mom,
like,
and I hope that they can get her the medicine that she needs to be better, because they have the technology.
Yeah, I do love that he got that moment with his family. Those are our thoughts for Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. If you've been following our journey with this series is obviously shaping up to be a God tier series for both of us. We're loving the journey. We're loving the ride. If you have any thoughts about Golden Sun, I mean, it seems to be everywhere on the internet right now. We want it to be in our DMs because we love this series. So reach out to us at paperback.ponderings on Instagram if you have any ideas, thoughts, feelings. If you thought you caught a little Easter egg that we haven't talked about or haven't discussed, like, reach out to us. We would love to hear from you, and we'll catch you next week.